Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be Matthew chapter 7. I'm really excited about this chapter because we'll be diving into a couple of components of this chapter, and then the part 2 of this chapter will actually be concluding the Sermon on the Mount. So there's a lot of good stuff happening here, and then um, by the time we get to what will be Thursday, if you're following along, it could be any day if you're just watching these videos anytime you can, which I understand. Um, we'll be getting into a second part of Jesus' ministry post Sermon on the Mount. So it's really cool. It's really good stuff. But not to get too ahead of myself, chapter 7 starts out with Jesus handling the idea of judging, and Jesus tells us, "Judge not, that you be not judged." That's the ESV translation. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged, and with the measure you use it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there is the log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. And Jesus, when he says, judge not, that you be not judged, is giving us um, a basically an explanation of, hey, the same measure that you are to judge, you will be judged. So if you don't judge, you won't be judged. But in the same way that you judge, you will also be judged. This is so interesting because there's a lot of back and forth amongst Christians. Are we allowed to judge? Are we not allowed to judge? Ultimately, by the time Jesus explains his point, he wants us to understand that if we have a log in our own eye, it means that we're dealing with issues, and if not the same exact issue as a brother of ours or a sister of ours, and we want to deal with their sin and their issue, but not deal with our own, then we're in the wrong. All right. And then that same measurement of judgment will be upon us because we're not willing to deal with the stuff that's in our own life. But Jesus is saying, deal with it first. Take the log out of your own eye, and then you'll be able to clearly see, right, the speck in your brother's eye. And basically saying, if you can deal with what you're going through first, then you'll have proper perspective and relatability and grace and mercy for the people that have gone through what you've gone through. And so you won't be so quick to judge harshly, but with mercy and grace and understanding. And that's how, if we do judge, Christ wants us to judge, right? Saying it'd be better if we don't judge, because if we don't judge, we won't be judged. But if we do judge, we must judge righteously, the right way, by first removing from our own life the things that we see in other people's lives, so to better understand what they're going through and why they're dealing with it, and bring forth proper judgment, right? From the perspective that we've been healed and restored by Christ, and healed and restored by God, and then we can help a brother or sister in the same manner. So this is the way that he wants us to understand it. And then he says, do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. And Jesus is teaching us that sometimes there are going to be people that, no matter how much you try to help them, will resist you and even try to hurt you. And even though you bring forth something good and precious in your own eyes, right? Pearls, right? The truth and the freedom of the gospel, that they won't see it that way because they're just like pigs and dogs who just eat whatever and trample on whatever, and they won't treat your message the right way. So yeah, we have to have discernment. Sometimes there are people who will want to listen and need help, but we have to be willing to deal with the stuff in our own life first before we can help them. And then there will be people that, no matter how we position ourselves in their lives, they don't want help. And we have to have discernment to just let that situation be and move on, and prayerfully believe that God will, restore them with using somebody else. It's okay. You don't have to be Jesus to everybody, because Jesus is Jesus and he'll bring others in. But anyway, that's just a thought for that particular point of don't cast your pearls before the swine. The second thought that Jesus brings forth is, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks it will be open. Or which one of you, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a serpent? If you then, who are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? I love this. This is Jesus explaining the character of God to people, explaining how God sees us and how we should see him. He's asking us to ask. He's telling us to seek. He's telling us to knock. And if we do those things, we will receive, we will find, and the door will be open to you. Because if we try to add some perspective, if we look at our own children, or if we think about our own parents, and anytime we ask something from them, somebody that we love dearly or who loves us dearly, do they not help us the best that they can by giving us what we ask, or at least something close, right? Jesus is saying, so who gives their son a stone when he asks for bread, or a serpent when they ask for fish? God is much greater and awesome and more good than we are. So anytime we ask him, we should know for a fact that he will give us even better things than we are capable to give to one another, because he is good, right? And we are evil, but he is good. And every good thing comes from above. We'll learn that later. But this is the perspective Jesus is offering the people as he's giving this message on the Sermon on the Mount. God is a good God. He is a good Father, and you need to see yourself as a son or a daughter and see him as a father. And when you ask him, know that he wants to give you good things. And this is awesome. This is a great perspective to have, especially when we pray, especially when we're interceding, like knowing that God desires the best for us. And so when we ask in faith, knowing that this is the kind of character that God has, that he desires good things for his people. But anyway, so that's going to be on the conclusion of Matthew 7, part 1. And in part 2, which is going to be coming to you tomorrow, we'll finish out the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus, you could see how the language changes in this second part when he starts to conclude his sermon. Anyway, but we'll get into that, and it's really exciting. But I hope you guys have a great day. Be blessed.